In Venezuela, the government dismantled a new terrorist plan after the arrest of people linked to the far-right groups. In Honduras, President Xiomara Castro ratified her commitment to defend the country's sovereignty and democracy in the face of the coup intentions of opposition sectors. And in South America, forest fires have ravaged several countries in recent weeks. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, the government dismantled a new terrorist plan after the arrest of people linked to far-right groups. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello announced the detention of citizens who had the objective of generating violence and destabilizing the country. In this sense, the official pointed out that the investigations indicate that those arrested were communicating through social medias in which they planned assassinations against Venezuelan state officials. Cabello also pointed out that within the framework of the operation, they managed to seize some 400 weapons that entered the country illegally through courier companies.
El gobierno de los Estados Unidos no está ajeno a esta operación. No está ajeno.
The government of the United States is no stranger to this operation. You should remember the threats that have been made against us. In addition, there has been the assassination of some people in other countries. That relates to this. Behind this arms trafficking operation, there is a nefarious character, this Mr. Ivan Simonovas. He knows perfectly well what I am talking about.
The Venezuelan Minister for Domestic Affairs, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, denounced the opposition for leading arms trafficking and violence operations in the country.
Behind all these operations, arms sales, arms trafficking, is Mr. Ivan Simonovas. Who has direct links here in Venezuela, and Juan Pablo Guanapa, whom we saw in a photo, Carlos Piquillos, Julio Borges, Maria Corina Machado, have been named on these operations of violence in our country.
And in Venezuela, also President Nicolás Maduro condemned recent unilateral sanctions by the United States against several institutions and government officials aimed at destabilizing the country. The Venezuelan head of state pointed out that Washington continues to repeat its past mistakes by constantly using threats as a means to cause deep damage against the people. In this sense, the head of state affirmed that the United States, as it has demonstrated throughout history, has always wanted to intervene in Venezuela to take control of its natural resources, but the civil military police union will not allow it today or ever. These declarations came after the president led a working day dedicated to progress of the military community brigades for education and health in the city of Caracas.
All the Venezuelan institutions, because the gringos pretended yesterday, with their so-called sanctions, with their ridiculous sanctions, a truly hostile attitude, which repeats the mistakes they have already made against Venezuela. They will not be able to stop the course of the Bolivarian Revolution, neither with threats, nor with sanctions, nor with anything, neither today nor ever. They will not be able to weaken or divide the powerful civil-military police union of the people's power.
In Honduras, President Xiomara Castro ratified her commitment to defend the country's sovereignty and democracy in the face of the coup intentions of opposition sectors. During a massive rally in support of her administration, the Honduran president recalled the victory of her government in the face of the crimes that for more than 12 years the drug dictatorship executed with the objective of imposing itself again in the Central American country. She also denounced the coup attempts led by the U.S. government. In this regard, Xiomara Castro ratified that her government will not surrender to the threats of coup d'etat and interference.
We gave everything to the people's cause, and I left the statement that in a heroic act in the poll station, we conquer and the drug trafficking dictatorship, corrupt and cruel from the National Party and their allies, was defeated.
President Xiomara Castro, during the manifestation in support of her government, also made a clear statement that the people won't allow another coup.
A coup d'etat, nevermore. Coup d'etat, nevermore. We have from our side to the people, and the reason is assisting us with the blood of our martyrs will be newly defeated. And I invite the youth, to our working class, to defend the legacy of our hero Francisco Morazan, to defend our democracy and the social program of our government. The strength from the ultra-conservative in his attempted coup, I am de-articulated now.
And citizens rallied and expressed their full support to President Xiomara Castro.
Well, it is a reminder that we are in power, that we need to support our president in all the actions she has done. No more coups d'etat, no more blocking the actions that the president wants to take. Let's support the president, all the achievements we have made in such a short time, after a regime that plundered us for 12 years.
Nobody surrenders here. We are always ready to support her. First of all, support the people, support the militancy, and we are going to support them in a good way. She should continue. Her people are always here supporting her, and she should not give up. No more coup d'etat.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Cuba on Friday, Foreign Affairs Minister Bruno Rodriguez thanked the rejection of 35 former heads of states and governments of the world against the inclusion of the island in the list of alleged sponsored states of terrorism. Rodriguez emphasized the leaders' call on U.S. President Joe Biden to withdraw his country from the unilateral designation, alleging that remaining in it has caused serious consequences for the nation. In addition to being contradictory, the inclusion of the Caribbean country in said list violates the fundamental principles of the United Nations Charter. This Friday, the Mexican Senate issued the final declaration for the judicial reform that is now constitutional after the state congresses ratified it. Despite the absence of the opposition groups, the Senate Board of Directors moved forward with this legal process. The reform was endorsed by 22 state congresses, and according to the current regulations of the United Mexican States, it can now be published in the official Gazette of the Federation. From this step, the regulation that will mark substantial changes in the judicial system of Mexico enters into force, as stated by the President of the Senate Board of Directors, Gerardo Fernández Noroña.
Que se oiga bien y se oiga lejos.
Listen carefully from this moment on. The Mexican people are not only taking the decision on who will be the judges, but they are also opening a path for the whole of humanity, so that never again will the judges be the product of an elite that is contrary to the administration of justice and contrary to the interests of the people. We will be the first country to elect judges, men and women, magistrates and ministers of justice by universal, secret, and direct suffrage. The extreme right has said that this is impossible, just as they said that it was impossible to build the international airport Felipe Angeles.
In the United States, the state of Ohio has recently become the epicenter of unrest fueled by racist conspiracy theories targeting its Haitian immigrant community. This troubling situation escalated after former President Donald Trump and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance made inflammatory remarks during a presidential debate, suggesting the Haitians in Springfield were involved in bizarre and harmful activities, including allegations of pet consumption. These unfounded claims have gained traction, particularly among far-right groups, and on social media, leading to a toxic environment for the local Haitian population. And in the United States, also President Joe Biden and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer postponed a decision on whether or not to allow Ukraine to fire Western supply long-range missiles at Russia. The two leaders held a meeting at the White House that focused on Kiev's request to use missiles against Russia. In this regard, both leaders expressed support for Ukraine but did not make any major announcements regarding missiles. It is worth mentioning that Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that allowing Ukraine to attack Russian territory with long-range missiles is equivalent to NATO countries being at war with Russia.
There is an intention. It is a confusion in the matter. It is not about allowing or preventing Ukraine to attack Russian territory. Ukraine is already attacking Russian territory, with drones and other means, but when talking about high precision and long-range weapons made in the West, it is another matter, completely different. The point is, I have already mentioned, any expert can confirm it both in Russia and in the West, that the Ukrainian army is not capable of using Western high-precision or long-range missile systems. They can only do so by using intelligence data.
We now have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Found short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the military court sentenced 37 people to death after convicting them for participating in an attempted coup d'etat. The accused were found responsible for attempted coup d'etat, terrorism, and criminal association. The defendants, among them 3 U.S. citizens, a British, a Belgian, and a Canadian, were arrested after an attack in May which targeted the presidential palace and killed 6 people. Congo reinstated the death penalty earlier this 2024 amid a struggle to curb violence and terrorist attacks in the country. The United Nations humanitarian coordinator Muhannad Hadi reported that approximately 18,000 children have been orphaned due to the Israeli aggressions in the Gaza Strip. Hadi also warned that humanitarian workers face many difficulties getting aid to the Strip and detailed that children have been exposed to traumatizing situations such as constant displacement and shelling. The UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, reiterates that children require protection. It's essential to safeguard and protect the services on which they depend, such as health centers. In Brazil, the number of fires in the first 12 days of September reached 49,266, surpassing the 46,486 registered in the same period last year. This unprecedented crisis in the midst of the worst drought on record continues to devastate the country, affecting major cities such as Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, as well as bordering countries. In this regard, President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva asserted that the federal government, together with state and municipal governments, is intensifying efforts to control the fires affecting the entire country. It is important to note that at midnight last Thursday, Brazil accounted for 60.7% of the fires that occurred this month in South America. Also in Paraguay, forest fires in the Chaco region devastated at least 190,000 hectares and an area 16 times the size of the city of Asunción. The volunteer fire department of Paraguay reported that there are a total of 164 firefighters working to extinguish the current outbreaks on Sudamerica and in the Campo Grande area, while reiterating their efforts to deal with the situation. In this context, officials urged the population to take the corresponding measures in the face of the emergency. Meanwhile, in Peru, at least 173 fires remain active, and devastation has affected 3,330 hectares of forest and farmland in 20 regions of the country. The National Emergency Operations Center reports that since last May, so far there have been 10 people killed, 59 injured, and another 1,634 affected. The Health Ministry reports that 70% of the affected areas correspond to natural ecosystems and 30% to crops. Officials say fires are intensifying due to drought and high temperatures. And in the Netherlands, the Amsterdam International Tattoo Convention has officially kicked off, running from September 13th to the 15th at the NDSM Wharf. This year's event brings together over 360 tattoo artists from around the globe, attracting crowds of enthusiasts eager to discover the latest trends and techniques in tattoo artistry. Attendees can look forward to live tattoo competitions where artists showcase their skills across various categories, as well as on-site piercing opportunities. The convention also features a vibrant atmosphere with food trucks, live music, and numerous vendors offering unique merchandise. This annual celebration serves as a dynamic platform for artists and fans to connect and appreciate the art of tattooing.
I've always really liked tattoos since I was really young. And when I turned 18, like the first time that I could get a tattoo I did, my parents were there and it was, super exciting. But ever since then, I, found my artist and it's just been like a really good family vibe. So it wasn't just about the art anymore. It's just like, we're making friends and we're making connections. And I don't know, it just kind of boosts my confidence too. Like it's just really empowering to have somebody's art on you and just, feel the love that people have for it too. So yeah.
I think today in contemporary tattoo industry is really interesting. I've been tattooing for 14 years, so I've seen a lot of change. And I love how it's going. Now it's more specialized. There are more materials, more styles in art, in the designs. And there are more women also, in the industry. Back in the days, I used to be 3 women and 100 guys. And now it's more even. And I love that. So I think the tattoo industry is breaking the barriers of art. So it's more interactive, like urban art, graffiti, and so on. So I'm really excited to see where the future goes.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.